I'm Nathan Judah. I'm here with Wolves reporter Mr. Liam Keane. Liam, Arsenal 5, Wolves 0, not the way that you wanted to end the season.
No, I mean that was a brutal display, wasn't it? Defensively is the biggest issue here. I mean, look, Wolves had no shots on target again. Very little forward threat. Adama Adama overall performance and Hwang first half are probably Wolves' best performances, but that's dragging a positive out of an absolutely awful day, for being honest. But defensively was where the real issues were. I mean, Wolves were all over the place.
Chose no Craig Dawson today, and kind of showed, didn't it? Because it was, like you say, absolutely calamitous.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Semedo, not marking or at least attempting to stop Xhaka for the first goal. I could go through each goal, to be honest. Bueno getting caught out time and time again by Saka. The midfield not really helping and getting into positions where Bueno was able to have a little bit of support, and albeit he was having a dreadful day, he needed some help as well. All over the place offensively, and when you have those kind of errors, mistakes, and just poor performances, you're going to get beaten like this against this kind of team, because when they're on form, they're a really, really dangerous side. Wolves at the same time, story of the season, handed the goals to, and that's the problem.
Okay, game was dead after 15 minutes, and when it is, and you've got this crowd behind you, you've got a wounded Arsenal who want to make a statement after a shocking end to the season, then that was always going to happen, and it could have been a lot more. That's the issue. Was this on par, if not worse, than Brighton for you?
Probably on par. I wouldn't say worse.
I mean, it's pretty desperate at Brighton.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's close. It is close. Close, if not on par, because the Brighton game, I think that first half was probably even more calamitous than this, and that's saying something because this was bad. But Wolves just could not. I don't know what it was. The confidence to even get the ball down and start to play. Simple 5-10 yard passes you were relying on in the first half, as I've already mentioned. Hwang to go on some sort of run, which he did a couple of times. Adama to make something happen, which I think he did several times during the game, but to no avail, because Raul Jimenez was like, he was anonymous up front. So just a really strange game where Wolves had no real threat going forward, and then when you make those errors, you're going to concede, and it's as simple as that.
And Aaron Ramsdale could have been sat next to us because they didn't have a shot again, not a shot on target in the game, and
6 shots altogether, no shots on target.
And you said they could be here for a week and they would not score today. It was just, you could just see it was the easiest clean sheet Arsenal get all season. It was pretty bad, but like you say, at the back, I mean, it was just mistake after mistake after mistake. That second half, I mean, Jose Sa, my God, I mean, he's got a long season to look at himself off season, because he's not covered himself in glory, and that's, I mean, the first goal, or the second, he could have got hand to it, should have probably done better, although other errors were made before that. But that one in the fifth, oh my goodness, awful.
Yeah, it's an absolute calamitous error, isn't it? It's just so simple for someone of his quality. We know he's got, because we saw his first season at Wolves, a professional footballer. The mistakes happen, don't get me wrong, but there's been too many this season for a lot of individuals, and Jose Sa included. He's had good moments. He's actually helped Wolves win games at important times this season with really big saves. But there's too many times that kind of thing's happened, and there's just something off with him at the moment. It hasn't worked this season, hasn't clicked. And when you've got a goalkeeper who's not on his game and full of confidence, it doesn't exactly instill confidence in the rest of the players, and especially the defence. They struggled with that Dawson today, as you mentioned already. That for me was probably the biggest moment in Wolves' collapse, I would say.
Ruben Neves on the bench today, kind of expected for you. Came on second half at the 45 minutes. Looks like that'll be the last time we see Ruben Neves in a Wolves shirt. We can watch Liverpool with Wolves' amazing career, but a sad way to end, really.
Yeah, I did attempt to stop him in the mix zone after.
How did that go?
As predicted, pretty poorly. He was
just going to get that, imagine, custard pie.
Yeah,
he wasn't going to. I mean, he wasn't talking for anyone, was he?
No, I mean he was heading straight off from holiday. I think, which most of the players are, but he was rushing clearly to go find family. But I
think they went this morning before the game, to be honest, most of them. Lopetegui is frustrated though, mate. He's frustrated. He said afterwards that he's not getting investment from what he wants. He wants to re-sign players and our contract players. These are futures that have got to be sorted out very, very quickly. And before we look at getting players in and selling players and generating money, there are immediate futures of some of the players who are out of contract. And he says he admitted he wants to re-sign some of them. So you've got to think that maybe Adama Traore would probably be top of that list. But they haven't got the facilities to do that at the moment. I mean, that's incredibly worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, he sort of hinted at that on Friday in the press conference about Costa and Adama. Hinted that he would like to do something, and he's been stopped essentially from doing it. And that is worrying. But at the same time, not surprising, because we know the position Wolves are in, and until they're in a position to be a bit more stable financially, or not be concerned about being financially unstable in terms of overspending, they can't afford to re-sign some of these players. With Semedo, they took a risk by doing it when they did, because if they didn't, they'd have lost him. Because they only had until the end of May to take up the option. So, look, with Costa and Adama, they've got a bit more time, obviously, because yes, they're going to flirt with other clubs. Costa probably won't have loads of suitors. Adama obviously will. But equally, the manager, rightly, as every manager does, wants his team ready for July in pre-season. It's not going to happen.
No.
He never does for any team most of the time. But he wants the players. He wants to know the squad he's got available, and that's where the balance has got to be struck, and where he's got to make a decision, and where the club have got to make a decision in the coming days and weeks, really.
He said Diego Costa and Pedro Neto were injured today. Obviously, we knew that João Moutinho was not going to play, but he could have started Craig Dawson, he could have started Ruben Neves, he chose not to. Do you feel he was in the stands, of course, not on the sidelines today, as per with the one match ban? Do you feel that was maybe a little bit of a thin message to the person in the front row, to Jeff Shee and Fosun, saying, look, you can say what you want, but if we stand still, if this is the squad, if this is what we're putting out next season, we're in a whole world of bother. Now, look, of course, he didn't expect them to play that badly. They want to win games, but at the same time, you look at the products on the pitch today, and you've got to be very worried. I spoke to the fans afterwards, and they thought exactly the same.
Yeah, it can't be a coincidence, can it? Because the vast majority of the players that played today were players that are signed up to be here next season, and most of them are likely to be here next season. So Wolves are in Lopetegui's in a position where I think I would agree that he was sending a bit of a message to show this is what I've got to work with at the moment. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good players on there that can do better, especially today in this kind of performance. But the squad needs changes, it needs additions, it needs a bit of a revamp.
It's the end of an era with a lot of these players.
It will have that to an extent, because there will be plenty of players moving on, plenty of players that have been here for a long time, so there will be space in the squad to bring others in. But the manager wants the kind of players that he thinks can move this team forward, and that's where the crux of the issue is. At the moment, it doesn't sound like he's going to get that, and I understand why he's going to be upset about that.
Do you feel before these moves are made, and hopefully they are made, that Julian Lopetegui or Wolves needs to clarify his future first? Because it seems, he's not giving any guarantees now. He says he's got a contract, he likes to see through that contract, but at the same time he was asked today, he was asked if he could confirm it, he still didn't confirm it, or say, I'm 100% committed. I think he still needs answers. Does that need to happen first before they can push along and plan? Because they've got to start planning quickly. They can't wait 1-2 months here. They want to get stuff done very, very quickly, at least in the next couple of weeks.
It goes hand in hand. Lopetegui's future goes hand in hand with what he's going to be afforded to spend in the summer. So they don't need to necessarily attack that issue on its own. If Lopetegui gets what he wants, or gets a compromise of what he wants, then he will stay at this club. He wants to stay at Wolves. He said that several times. He wants to stay at this club, but he also wants to stay at this club with the kind of resources available to push them forward as well. So it goes hand in hand. If they can come to some sort of agreement on what he's going to have for next season, he will be Wolves manager. At the moment, he's very cleverly not confirming either way, because he wants to keep it up in the air until he knows what he's got to work with, which is a smart way of playing it, particularly with the messages that are going outwards from the club.
But for the last time this season, it's ending on a bit of a sour note. Arsenal 5, Wolves 0 for the post-match reaction. Make sure you log on to expressandstar.com.